Gavin Newsom really ends up being able to blend in along with uh, a lot of the other politicians that are out
Well,
there.
he's almost, avoid me saying conspiracy. He
Yes.
seems reptilian.
Yeah, he seems reptilian to me too. You know, I
I
mean,
don't mean to say
yeah,
something, that far
yeah,
out of line, but he's so good looking. He's just such a smooth talker. The
polished.
only when I watched him debate against Ron DeSantis, and here's the thing, I don't know much about California, but what I do know is just that either it's a power grab or it's too much for one man. And for him to sit there and just bullshit his way, butter in a fucking pan, and walk
Yeah,
around. Listen, Ron DeSantis won COVID. There's just no doubt about it. Texas and
correct.
Florida did it fucking right. And he looked like an asshole going up against Gavin. Gavin fucking mopped the floor with him. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? He's going to be the 2028 president. Who's going to beat him?
Right. Well, and Santos should have waited until after the whole Trump
I
and
have I
Biden
have
thing.
no
I
idea.
mean,
That was the dumbest thing that
why
he
in the
should have
fuck
done.
would you do that? I
He
mean,
knew that was not a good move. That was the
yeah.
dumbest thing he could have done. He should have went for VP, and then he would have been able to run.
Yes. I mean, the great thing about DeSantos is that he didn't end up being able to take away your rights. He ended up being
Right.
able to go through Corona with being able to have dignity and being able to allow the people to be able to make a
Oh yeah.
choice
There was
of,
no doubt
I'm
that
going
he
to,
he won 2020,
yeah. So,
and
when
but he
you get
played his
into,
fucking
you
cards
get
too
in,
soon.
but when you get into like Bill Gates, I mean, he's right up there with, with our governor, that it's just nonsense. I mean, some of the stuff that he's doing and or saying is just shit. I mean, he basically, on one hand, he's saying he's here and he's doing these things and vaccinations for the people when ultimately he's not. I mean, basically he wants to depopulate. I mean,
Well,
just say the
also
truth.
wasn't he
So,
seen in public without a mask while the mask mandate was going on?
absolutely. I mean, our governor, oh, no doubt about it. I mean, the thing is do it as I say, don't do as I do. I mean, the thing
Right.
is, you can be able to go, I mean, Nancy Pelosi, I mean, you can be able to go right on down the line. I mean, probably all of them ended up doing it. I mean, I don't believe there's a president in the United States that did not end up being able to have, you know, uh, there's so many that ended up having affairs and or
Oh, of
mysterious
course.
or underhanding type things. But the thing is we ended up basically trying to publicize it for all these others. I mean, being able to look at Clinton. I mean, that was just a horse show, and I don't care. I don't care about this person underneath the podium. Good for him, man. Rock
Yeah,
on, sir.
yeah,
But
having a
you're
great
gonna make
time.
this.
Smoking
Yeah,
weed, getting head.
yeah. I mean, you're going to end up being able to pull somebody down or being able to talk shit, but I can talk shit for what their foundation did afterwards, though, and all the
Sure.
money that they ended up being able to steal and ended up pillaging from the people. I mean, Nancy Pelosi, all these other freaking politicians, it's just a crock. There's no way you should serve more than 4 years. I mean, the thing is, you have to be able to get revoted back in. To be able to say you could
On
be able to
on
be a
top of
career
that,
politician, huh,
on top of that, we put sweet ass Martha Stewart in prison for the same shit
yeah,
that Nancy
same thing.
Pelosi's doing.
Exact same thing. I mean, so the thing is again, you watch this hand, but this hand is doing something else, and do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you go right on down the line. I mean, that whole thing with her husband and this person, which he
The fucking
knew.
hammer.
Yes, I mean, come on, man. I mean, you know that he was getting a little something from this
Yeah,
guy,
there
and
there
they
was
were
something
having,
out of yeah,
yeah,
something was not
and
okay about that. There's a reason why he was way too comfortable. He didn't even put his
yes,
drink down. He's just like, "No, I got this, brother." No, he
yes,
didn't have
yes.
it.
Yeah, I don't even have hope left anymore, you know? And it's not just about the drugs for some of these people. It is just that things are just so damn expensive. It's so harsh and so hard,
Now,
you
let
know?
me ask for as far as a government stance, something that I always try to look as objectively as possible to all situations, and as easy as it might seem to just say, hey, this is one person's fault. When you actually, if you pull out a map and look at it, California is essentially New York to Florida, if you match it on the East Coast, where we have multiple governors, because that's a lot of land to govern. Would you say that, in your opinion, this is just a power grab, or is this a job that is too big for one person?
I did end up being able to look at they were looking at breaking up California and making it so that way we did have two different zones, so that way we did have two governors to be able to see if LA and that basin can be different than San Francisco in this basin, which I promote and suggest that ideal. I think that mainly it is a power grab. When you end up being able to look at these elites and you look at the powers to be, I mean, we have the most fertile land, we have the most water, we have the most natural resources in this area. When you look at California, Washington, and Oregon, it is a huge amount of resources that are here. And if you end up ultimately controlling those things, you control the people and everything that's there. You know, looking at the whole, I think the politicians, and it really comes back to the people to stand up and being able to say that we're not going to accept this. And when you end up taking one day, if you don't go to the store or don't go get gas and you don't go and do anything for that day, and everybody does it along with you, people are going to stand up and listen. The powers that be, they're going to end up being able to make those changes and not end up saying, hey, we have to have a special blend in the state of California that costs an extra $1.25 a gallon, which is just bullshit to me. To be able to say that, you could be able to charge an extraordinary amount of money just to deliver the power, let alone the power that you're actually using or the gas that you're using, is bullshit to me.
It's
To be
unreal.
able to, it is nonsense when you look at it, and if you're awake, it is out of a storybook, or a comic of just watching them being so manipulative.
You
uh
use that term awake, uh, and again, outside looking in, so I can't really say with 100% clarity, but it seems like there's a lot of the woke stuff out there that's caused a lot of what's going on there. At some point, are the woke people going to wake up, or do you see this getting worse?
I think when you already got something given to you and you haven't had to work for it, and it got given to you by either your mommy or daddy, and you end up being able to not have earned it, and then you think you're special, uh, which is the other way around. You're special if you got up and worked for it and you put on your boots every day and you went and applied yourself to go and get the things that you appreciate in your life. And to be able to look at, living close to Marin and San Francisco and looking at these, you want to be able to change our electrical grid. I mean, you can't even buy a gas powered blower or a chainsaw or anything gas powered anymore here in California. To say that I have to come and plug all those in, and all these other people do also in our power system is not up to par. It's not going to end up being able to handle all these electric cars. It's not going to be able to handle all these tools and all these other things that they're saying that they don't want to end up being able to have gas. But I don't know about you, but that wind comes in every day and it blows whatever I got here gone. It's nothing like LA. You don't end up having that major smog. So by breaking that up, I mean, I can drive 40 miles in almost in two directions from where I live. I'm going to say 100 miles, and there's no smog requirement. If I drove 100 miles the other direction, absolutely. You have all these regulations. You can't use these, lead paints. You can't use solvents. You can't use, but to say, down yonder, you don't have to have a smog. So by doing that and being able to break up LA from, Northern California, San Francisco area, might be better. And then being able to, because it's the regulations that have
Well,
created this part of
in
the
all
issue.
fairness, we shouldn't really be using lead paints though, right?
Well, there is no more lead paints. I was just using one of those, but it's really the environmental issue of being able to say that you're going to go all electric and not have the infrastructure.
Right,
I mean, we
yeah.
just we just ended up being able to do 68 schools in 2020, and they ended up putting in solar panels, but they didn't put in one charging station. They ended up
Wow.
redoing the parking lots and ended up being able to do all these schools, but I was just, I mean, floored that they ended up being able to put in all these parking overhangs that are all basically solar, but they didn't put in one charging location at that school. Not one.
Incredible.
At 68 schools. And then the next year we did another 58 schools all throughout the Bay Area. Every San Jose, all the way to Sacramento, all the way out to Willits. I mean, probably 3 hours in any direction that I live. We did all these schools, and that they didn't end up being able to have the foresight that if you're putting in solar panels, you're putting them in a parking lot, creating these overhangs for the cars, but there's not one charging location to be able to charge your electric car at school. I'm like,
So
that's a
it
huge
it
amount of
seems
people.
it seems almost calculated
Uh,
or
I,
complete stupidity.
I would say it's a combination of both, because it's just ridiculous. I mean, they did the same thing right here at Sonoma State. They ended up going in and putting in all these solar panels, and yes, it was. You have an empty parking lot with nothing overhead. Now you end up being able to have an overhang, which is nice. You can park your car under it. Doesn't get bird shit on it. Doesn't get hit by the sun all day long. It keeps it nice and cool. But you didn't put in any charging stations, and you want to go all electrical by 2035, and that you're going to end up being able to say that you got to power all your tools that you're going to be using, can't get a gas powered chainsaw. So I think the calculation dealing with, and you're absolutely 100% correct by saying uh, that you're going to end up being able to deregulate and defund the police, that you're going to go and you are going to uh, 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 say that $995 or under $1,000 is not a felony, and you can be able to go in and all you can get is a ticket if you're walking out with a big screen TV or a shopping cart full of food, and that you're not being responsible by saying that you're going to end up being able to increase the amount that it costs in living just on your day in day out goods, let alone your PG&E, let alone all these other costs. I would say to myself that that is pretty good strategy. That's a good way to be able to get
It
people to get the fuck out and being able to own all the property, own all the land.
also it was a joke I was kind of making to people when I saw the headlines. It was like, why don't we just move to California? We can squat, we can steal whatever we want without going to jail. Also, even if you're a violent criminal, it seems like you don't even have to have bail. You just get let right back out.
That is correct. I mean, you definitely end up going in. It's a revolving door, and that's why it's so hard on these people that are trying to stand up and are end up trying to stay within our community and being able to help our community. But it hardens you when you go and you arrest these people for doing violent crimes, let alone misdemeanor type crimes, and then they're just right back out. And it's really about hopefully employing that person, giving them a better way of life, figuring out, and it's not necessarily, it's our education system. We're not training our kids. We're not end up being able to train good adults. We're not giving them value, their value, not what you own or what you've got value. I'm talking about your personal value of how you feel about yourself. And you have to be able to know that you're better. you're better than all that. You're smarter than all that. And that you, as an individual, by making great decisions on your behalf, you're really helping others. You're making a difference for other people in and around your life. And when you end up having everybody just me, and being selfish, and then just intentionally trying to screw it up from the powers that be, I mean, that is a bad mixture. It comes down to it is that you have to be able to help your neighbor.
Mhm.
You have to be able to help that local small mom and pop restaurant. You have to be able to help within your community. And we've really lost our family values here, especially in the state of California, where you do not have that fellow person coming over and wanting to assist and help you if you fell. We're so tainted because things are so expensive and people are just not nice people. They're not pleasant. They don't say hi, how y'all doing, man? Why don't you come on over and have a barbecue? With my wife being from Virginia and visiting Virginia, it was like a different planet, you know. It was a lot more camaraderie, and some of the areas where you could see that people were struggling, but they still were willing to help somebody out. See them at the grocery store having a little less money, and wasn't able to afford, and somebody else stepped right up and said, "Hey, I'll go ahead and take care of that." And we just need more and more men and women to step up. For me, luckily, I'm blessed, and I whenever I have that opportunity to bless someone else, to go over and help them out with their yard, or pay that extra $20. I don't tend to give homeless people money, but I'll go and buy them food and bring them back food and something to drink, uh, just so that way I know that they're getting the nourishment they need. You know, plenty of times I've given them ice chests full of water and say, just tell the people and make a sign saying free water.
Yeah.
Uh, and just by doing that, they really increased the amount of money that they were getting, because that person was feeling that they were giving them something for nothing. And by giving them a free cold water, most of the people ended up bringing out that dollar, brought out that $5 or $20 to be able to help this person, instead of that person just saying, poor me, and my life sucks, and I have nothing.
Listen, I really, really appreciate your time because this has been very insightful for me. I've learned a lot, and hopefully we can get this message out to people.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you too.
I can understand why you're so mad, why you're so angry. And I also feel like this is just the tip of the iceberg. Not going to let this be the only conversation that we have on this channel. I'm going to invite you back as soon as you're available, and I'm hoping that's going to
Thank
be
you.
within a week, because I'm just blown away right here, and I can only believe that anybody watching this that doesn't live in California, because all this stuff is very hidden, even from somebody like myself who kind of does a little bit of digging just so I can make fun of stuff. It's wild to actually hear this kind of truth and I dare say proof. Um, I thank you for reaching out to the channel, and I definitely can't wait to hear from you again.
Thank you so much, man.